even in my darkest hour, the fact that I'm still here just goes to prove that there was still hope. And maybe sometimes it wasn't my own, you know, maybe it was my mother's hope that I would come around, or you know, in a lot of recovery settings, you know, we have a moment of silence for the addict that still suffers, and maybe it was that hope that carried me through those times when I didn't have my own. But as far as recovery goes, you know, having that hope that sobriety was real probably came around the writing of my first step around almost 11 years ago.
I think it was just taking that first action, or
yeah, like coming out of jail like I did last time, and using again with fucking knowing that, like, if I use, I'm going to prison. I'm breaking my probation. Like, if I use, there's not going to be any hope, and I used anyway.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with an alcoholic, and we started working the steps of AA, and I think maybe his hope gave me hope, but taking the action that needed to be taken and doing something physically.
Yeah.
And
writing down some stuff,
like doing something for my recovery, I guess, made me feel like, you know, maybe this will.
Well, it's good that you mentioned like hope in action, because, you know, what we write down in a first step isn't necessarily hopeful, right? It's more like acceptance. It's more like looking at all this evidence of the fact that we have a disease. It's like, okay, so clearly there's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not really like one thing that will give us hope, but there's hope in the action. Okay, I'm finally doing something.
Yeah.
I'm finally, like, you know, listening and taking other people's advice and putting pen to paper and really analyzing the way that I'm currently living my life. And I think that it's great that you mentioned hope in action, because that's something I wouldn't have thought of, you know, is like hope does come from a lot of the actions that we take.
Yeah.